Welcome to Sweet Talk SLP. I'm Krystle and I'm a pediatric speech language pathologist. And for today's video, we're celebrating my 1 year on YouTube with a Q&A. But before we get started, if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, I invite you to subscribe. Also like this video and share it with your friends. Let's get started. We're here to celebrate my 1 year on YouTube. And before we get started with the Q&A, I wanted to reintroduce myself. My name is Krystle. I'm a bilingual pediatric speech language pathologist. I have over 10 years experience all in the pediatric setting, and my experience is with pediatric home health agencies and pediatric outpatient rehabilitation clinics. I've been a supervisor to many SLPAs. I am currently a supervisor now, also to clinical fellows and graduate students getting ready to graduate with their master's degree in speech language pathology. I started this channel a year ago after I first created a channel based on makeup because I loved makeup and I loved watching makeup videos on YouTube. And then this baby was born. I fell in love with being a speech language pathologist all over again, and I wanted to share all the things that I've come across over my 10 years of experience and currently with my audience, with you, with SLPs, SLPAs, parents, and anyone else who comes across my channel. I have posted over 50 videos. It's been over a year, and a bulk of my videos have been reviews on toys or materials specific to SLPs, unboxing of speech therapy games or materials. I started Sweet Talk Tips, which I wasn't originally going to do tips. I was originally going to keep this as a review channel, but you know, everything grows, including this channel. I've done a day in the life of an SLP, a pediatric home health SLP. I've posted recommendations for Amazon or things to buy from Dollar Tree, and I have hopes of continuing all of those types of video and content for you, and I'm open to suggestions. So now that we have that out of the way of my background and everything leading up to this channel, I posted some question boxes on Instagram and opened it up to my followers to ask me questions, either SLP related or non-SLP related, and I'm going to answer them for you today. So let's get started. First of all, I think I lost some of the questions. Instagram did a lovely job of making things disappear. So I'm hoping that I kept most of them, and I hope that I answer all of the questions that I can. And if not, we'll just do another Q&A later. Do you pay out of pocket for all the supplies that you use? Yes, I do pay out of pocket for all the supplies that I use. Now, I don't pay out of pocket for protocols for my evaluations. My company does that. And I have won things and giveaways, and so I haven't paid for those things. I also look for free things on Facebook Marketplace and things like that, so I've done that as well. But everything else has been out of pocket. I'm not sponsored by any company out there, and so nothing has been given to me. So everything is out of my pocket, and then I add it to my taxes at the end of the year. So I spend too much money on speech therapy materials. I can't help it. It's a terrible habit. What's something you wish someone would have told you before starting work in early intervention? And it's not that I wish someone would have told me this. I wish that I would have had more training on play-based therapy. I feel like my undergraduate degree placed such an emphasis on behavior modification techniques, and I used to use them because that's what I learned, and that's what I thought all therapy was like, right? You had to, modify behaviors of children. But with my experiences and my love of continued learning, I have learned a lot of tips and tricks integrating play-based therapy. I just wish that my professors would have taught that in undergraduate. I don't think it's still like that, or I hope not. I also feel like a lot of professors tend to forget the clinical aspects of things, and so some of those things get lost. But I'm hopeful that all the new SLPs in training are getting better acquainted with how to play with kids. So that's what I wish I'd learned. Not really what I wish someone would have told me. What strategies do you recommend for providing services through teletherapy? I hate teletherapy. I hated it from the start. So the only tips that I have are the ones that helped me get through it. And it was just to kind of prepare a few minutes before my session. That was the most preparing I ever had to do. I go into most of my sessions and I know what the goals are, grab things from my car, and I just wing it. But with teletherapy, I had to have different screens open in the background and ideas of how to keep things flowing and how to get the most out of my session. So I feel like the best advice I could give is to, one, do a lot of research on materials and have a lot of materials handy and games that you rely on to use on your computer, and then also keep several of them open depending on the child that you'll be seeing, their age, what goals they're working on, how compliant they are, things that motivate them, and keeping them open. That way you have several choices to help that session along. I just got out of schools and I'm starting home health in a few weeks. Any must-haves for home health? Tons. But if we're starting small, I feel like you need a few essential toys. And I would always try to pick toys that you can use for different age groups. I always recommend potato heads. I think those are easy to have. If you have an iPad, really looking at apps that might be handy for these kids. I don't like to use apps or iPads for early intervention, but for some of those older kids, it's just easier to have, apps that can target very specific goals on there. So I think that could be very handy. I also created a speech binder, so I have all the materials that I need for the kids that I see. I don't keep every speech sound in this binder. I keep my Bjorn speech sound cue cards in there, but then I keep materials for each specific kid depending on the sounds that we're working on or processes that we might be working on. I try to find, like I said, games that can work for early childhood intervention and beyond. I always recommend a Goliath game to add to your tools. I like Banana Blast because I think it's fun for little kids with the monkey and the bananas, but the bananas are hard to put in. They could ask for help. And so Jumping Jack is also pretty good because the carrots are easier to stick in the little holes. And so I think that that's good just for modeling for those early intervention kids, in, out, help, want, things of that nature, or labeling. And then of course you can use it with your older kids and turn taking and working on setting up the game with high trials of speech sounds, like going over a sound or a word 10 times, put a carrot in, go over a word 10 times, put a word in, put a word in, put another carrot in, and kind of continue off of that. So I feel like, find at least one game, one toy. Always keep a notepad handy to take notes. I just posted my backpack therapy bag essentials, and so I'll link that above. Things that I think are important to keep on hand as a home health therapist. I also found a lot of use with a car steering wheel tray table to have lunch and to make and to write notes. So there's a ton of things, and I probably need to do one video. I think I have one video of home health tips. So definitely go through my videos for those tips and tricks and things like that. But as far as specific materials or things, the list could go on. Why did you choose to become an SLP? Well, when I was younger, in high school and junior high, I thought that I was going to be an attorney, or I thought I wanted to be an attorney. And I had uncles and aunts and cousins going to law school, and I can be an argumentative person, so I felt and others felt that law was for me. But when I entered high school, it just didn't seem like the right fit for me. And so I liked math, and I thought I wanted to be an accountant, and then I took an accounting class in high school and I hated it. And so I landed on being a teacher, mostly because I knew I wanted to help people, and I just felt that being a teacher would do that for me. And then I dated a guy whose mom was an SLP, and I had no idea what an SLP was, but quickly learned about it. And before I graduated high school, it was set. I knew I wanted to be an SLP because in my mind, I was like, this is helping others, kind of like being a teacher, but more individualized for me. Specifically, if you're not in the school setting, which I've never worked, or I've minimally worked in the school setting, and it's not my preference for settings. And so I just knew, and I did. I went to undergrad with a communication disorders undergrad degree straight through and went straight to do my master's. I never changed my major. I knew it all along since high school. And so here we are now. Are you an employee or 1099 contractor for home health? Do cancellations affect you? I am an employee. I am not 1099. I do get a W-2. They do remove taxes from my paycheck. Do cancellations affect me? Yes, because in home health, you get paid per visit. So if you don't do the visit, you don't get paid for it. I always accommodate my schedule to make sure that I try to hit enough visits, like a minimum number that I'm comfortable with, so that in the long run it doesn't affect me too much. So I have like a wiggle room for cancellations, but they do affect you because you just don't get paid for them. Do you ever experience burnout working in home health? If so, what do you do to recover? I used to. When I did home health, when I first moved to Austin, I was definitely burned out. Eventually, I left the home health setting because of it. I think the best thing for me was to learn my boundaries in home health and to say no sometimes. To say no, that client is too far. No, I don't feel comfortable treating that diagnosis. No, I don't want to see this many visits over my quota. And really setting boundaries with your own schedule. I feel like I have in my home health tips where I have time allotted in my week to do my paperwork, so that way I'm not bombarded on the weekend working on paperwork. You know, I try to do it in the mornings before I head out for the day, or a little bit in the evenings, but I shut off. At the latest I'll work on paperwork is 8 p.m. And then I go to my bedroom and I read and I take off my makeup and I unwind. I give myself that grace to unwind. And sometimes I don't do work when I come home for the evening, and instead I go to dinner with my boyfriend and, you know, have a margarita with him. And so then I have to catch up on that work later. I make time to do my work, but I also give myself some grace. So, and on the weekends, you know, the follow-up question to that was, how do you like to spend your weekends off? I like to relax. I like to vacation if I can. I like to visit my family. My family it's about a 5-hour drive away from Austin, so I like to visit with them. There's a distillery by my house. My boyfriend and I really enjoy going to the distillery to have a cocktail, to eat from the food truck there. There's a brewery by my house that we also enjoy going to. We enjoy brunch, going on hikes from time to time. It's been a while because it's been extraordinarily hot, but it's something we have done before in the past. And sometimes just nothing. Just doing absolutely nothing, right? I don't watch a lot of TV, so if I have downtime and I don't have paperwork to do on the weekends, then I like to read. But a lot of it is hanging out with my boyfriend and, you know, figuring out what shenanigans we can get into. Favorite novels that you've read recently? Sorry, my AC is turning on. I've had disclaimers in all my, past videos about it. I live in Austin, Texas. It's freaking hot here, so it is what it is. Okay, so to answer this book on favorite novels, I'm going to my library app. I made a New Year's resolution this year to read before bed to unwind, and I can't stop reading books. And I started buying books based on recommendations from Chandler's Book Nook. Is that what she is? She's an SLP who has an Instagram, and she's a reader. So Chandler's Book Nook. So I have gone based on her recommendations. A lot of her recommendations are for thrillers, which this year I found out that I love thrillers, and sometimes historical fictions, which I don't mind also. And so I go based off her reviews, and now instead of buying my books, I check them out from the local library. So on here, I'm also able to rate them and such, and so it's easy for me to kind of look over the past year on books that I've read and have pretty high reviews on, based on my opinion. So, They Never Learn by Lane Fargo, Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier, Verity by Colleen Hoover, Then She Was Gone, Lisa Jewell, The One by John Mars, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, Little Secrets, Jennifer Hillier, Greenwich Park, Catherine Faulkner, The Love of My Life, Rosie Walsh, The Golden Couple, Greer Hendrick, These Silent Woods, Kimmy Cunningham Grant, Wish You Were Here, Jodi Picoult, A Flicker in the Dark, Stacey Willingham, The Book of Cold Cases, Simone St. James. So I will list them down below and link them to try to help you out. If it's an Amazon link, I might make a small commission on that, so I'll put that out there now. How do you sanitize toys between sessions? If you saw, and maybe it didn't come out clear enough, but in my video, like one of my day in the life of, or a week in the life of my being an SLP, I do keep wipes, like sanitizing wipes in my trunk. And so I don't clean my toys after every session. I clean them before the session, because if I'm not going to need the toy immediately, I just, to save time, I don't clean all 8 toys when I get out of the session. You know what I mean? I clean for the next session, you know, like if I know that I've used it and it's not clean, if that makes any sense. But I use sanitizing wipes, or I also have Lysol spray, just because that makes it a little bit easier. If I know that I have like back-to-back early intervention kids and I tend to take the same things, then I'll do it like a quick spray of Lysol and shove it in my car, and then it's, you know, dried out by the time I get to my next session. So it's kind of a mix of those two things. So I try my best. I had someone send me a message right around the time that I put question box asking how big is your caseload. So a full-time SLP with my home health has a quota of 28 visits. My quota is 25 because I have an SLPA, and it doesn't count her supervisory visits. And then any additional general advice is greatly appreciated. And most of the advice I gave is stuff that I have on my tips, having those boundaries, you know, having a good scheduler and planner, and like just like staying on top of that so that it makes it easy and things like that. But if you've not seen my tips video or how I arrange my planner video, I will link some of them above, or I think it's up here, and I'll link them down below. Those are great videos to start with, especially if you're considering home health and kind of helping you keep on track of your schedule and such. Do you ever feel unsafe going into people's homes? Since I've started full-time again in home health for a year and a half or so, I have not felt unsafe. Have I felt unsafe in the past? Yes. There have been some neighborhoods that have been unsafe. And in fact, with the home health agency that I worked for when I first moved to Austin, I got followed to my car once, which was very scary. And so I reached out to my company, and they reached out to the family, and we were able to come out with a solution where, one, they were able to secure permission for me to park right in front of their apartment instead of in a visitor's parking that was, you know, quite a ways away. And the dad or brother would walk to my car to walk me into their apartment and then walk me back to my car at the end of the session. That way I felt safe coming in and out of their home. I never felt unsafe there until I got followed to my car, and even with them walking me in and out until eventually I think she was discharged or I moved, you know, to a different area, I never felt unsafe again. But I feel like it was also that arrangement that helped out. And so I've had other therapists who have asked me before, and they tell me that they run to the door of an apartment complex because they feel like they're scared, or if they've carried, you know, pepper spray. And I've always said, like, if you feel that unsafe, like, you need to tell your lead therapist or whoever your direct supervisor is, and talk it out and make a plan. I would not be running to a door if I felt that unsafe. If I felt that unsafe, I'd be figuring out something with my lead, and if we couldn't figure something out that made me feel safe, I would be declining those services. Like you have to be safe out there. You have to figure out a way to be safe, and having pepper spray is not the way to do it. So, use your instincts, and talk to your lead and figure things out. But the past year and a half, I've had zero issues, not even with pets or dogs or, things like that. If I ever arrived to a home and dogs were, running around and it looked unsafe, I just wouldn't walk in. Or I'd call the family if they couldn't come and walk me in or help me out. I'd leave. So my safety comes first, and so does yours. So always keep that in mind. I think those are all the questions I have for now. Is it? Yes. As far as questions that I saved or could find, those are the ones that I have that I've answered for you. But if you have any other questions relating to home health or travel type therapy, I am happy to answer them. I've had many people reach out to me to my direct messaging on Instagram. I'm always happy to answer those questions. I know making a transition to home health for the first time can be very intimidating. I've done it off and on for, 8 or 10 years. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I have. My experience earlier, I think I said I have over 10 years experience. I do. I think I have 12 and a half, over 12 years of experience. So 10 of them have been in and out of home health. So I have a lot of things to say about it. So definitely reach out. I'm happy to answer questions. I'm happy to do another Q&A in the future, a live Q&A on Instagram, maybe something that I'll do in the future also. But really, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for finding this channel. I want to thank you for subscribing and for interacting. I've had people reach out and ask questions, and I appreciate the feedback and I appreciate the support on this channel and on my Instagram. And I hope to continue this. I love this platform. I love recording and sharing all these speech therapy toys. I'm like looking at toys right here because I'm going to film more videos in a little bit, but I love this. I enjoy this. I love sharing. So whether it's specific to home health or about toys and materials or putting things together or giving tips or recommendations, I love it. And I'm open to suggestions. If there's something specific you want to see or a review on something specific or, whatever, please let me know. Let me know down below. Go to my Instagram. Let me know over there. I'm happy to try to fulfill that for you. I have before in the past. I feel like someone reached out to ask me how I use interactive books, and I did a video on that. Somebody asked me, what recommendations do you have for therapy materials? I did, therapy materials for $25 or less, like when you're starting off. So I'm happy to try to accommodate all of these types of videos to help you out in any way that I can. So thank you. Thank you for subscribing. And if you're not already, I hope that you'll consider subscribing. I hope that you like this video and all the other videos that I have posted over the past year. I hope that you'll consider sharing this video, liking this video, ringing that notification bell so that you're notified of my weekly uploads, because I have religiously posted one video a week for a whole year. And I'm hoping to continue that. I am going on a very, a 2-week vacation in October, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it through that, not missing an upload, but I'm going to surely try to pre-film and edit to get videos out anyway, but no promises. But yeah, that's all I have for now. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you on the next one.